What is happening, peeps? Welcome to a new video with RJ Reviews. In this video we're going to review Judas and the Black Messiah. Now I have to warn you first that this video contains major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, I highly suggest that you go and watch it, because it is definitely worth the time.
I'm free.
And now, let's get to it.
Deputy Chairman Fred Hampton of the Illinois Black Panther Party.
Now my first thoughts on this movie is that the story itself is impeccably amazing in so many aspects, and it makes you so emotionally invested in the characters, and it gave a lot of insight into the period of segregation in America and the Black Panther Party's work. The characters themselves were very interesting, with Daniel Kaluuya, who plays the chairman of the Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton, Lakeith Stanfield playing William O'Neill, the informant for the FBI who infiltrates the Black Panthers, Dominique Fishback, who plays Deborah Johnson, Hampton's wife, and Martin Sheen, who plays the role of J. Edgar Hoover, the FBI's director. The movie was produced by Ryan Coogler and directed by Shaka King.
Alright, playtime's over, alright? Everybody grab a fucking wall.
Now the movie starts with O'Neill, whom the story basically revolves around. And we see him in the beginning in an interview from the documentary Eyes on the Prize 2, where he was talking about the type of work that he used to do for the FBI. Then the movie goes on to show us O'Neill in the first scene as he enters a bar carrying a fake FBI badge and using it to steal someone's car. Then the situation starts getting more intense as he is exposed for what he was really trying to do, and he gets chased out of the bar and he tries to get into the car until he drives off with it, barely. Fast forward from that scene, then we see him in the interrogation room where he is being interrogated by FBI agent Roy Mitchell, who is played by Jesse Plemons. And here Mitchell gives O'Neill a choice of either going to prison for what he did or work as an FBI informant and infiltrate the Black Panthers and get closer to their leader, Fred Hampton.
Were you upset when Dr. King was murdered?
I don't know.
Now I really liked Kaluuya's portrayal of Fred Hampton because he was nothing short of outstanding. His embodiment of Hampton and his powerful influence on his people is seen in every scene, from his work with his peers to his personal life, and in everywhere he goes and in every public speech he gives.
I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. I am a revolutionary. You can murder a liberator, but you can't murder liberation. You can murder a revolutionary, but you can't murder revolution. And you can murder a freedom fighter, but you can't murder freedom. I said,
And even though the story is generally about Fred Hampton's life as well as William O'Neill's relationship with him and the type of work that he used to do, but the focus is mostly maintained on William O'Neill. And this is what I really loved about the movie, because Lakeith's performance is so phenomenal on every level, as we see his inner battle within himself throughout the movie, because as much as he knows his way out is through working as an informant, but the more he delves into the Black Panther's work and is close to Hampton, the more he is drawn to the struggle of black people and Hampton's charisma and strong presence. And this is where the term Judas and the Black Messiah comes into play. So the term Messiah refers to Hampton, as he is the one who brings people together, fighting for their rights and putting his life on the line in order to achieve that and bring a better standard of life to the community. And Judas refers to O'Neill's character, who infiltrates the Black Panthers and betrays Hampton, eventually leading to his ultimate assassination. In the movie, Fred was referred to once as the Messiah by the FBI's director J. Edgar Hoover, who is played by Martin Sheen. Now I have to mention that Martin Sheen is always a joy to see in movies, because he is always capable of convincing you of the character that he is playing. And I've personally been a fan of him and his movies for a very long time. In this movie we could see Sheen's role as he brings out the evil racist nature of Hoover, even though in Hoover's actual speeches he doesn't necessarily express his racist views publicly, but it is seen through his actions. And in this story he's on a quest to stop this Black Messiah at any cost, and in the end he gave the green light to the raid that eventually killed Fred Hampton in the end of the movie.
I want him off the street, charge him with something, anything, but get his black ass off the street. The Black Panthers are the single greatest threat to our national security, more than the Chinese, even more than the Russians.
Now, Hoover's evil nature is nothing strange from the public and from the type of work that he used to do, as his goal was always to bring down activist groups and public figures that campaigned to bring justice and civil rights to minorities, just like he did with Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. One interesting piece of information that the movie highlighted was how Fred Hampton was able to unite different people and races under a common goal. He formed and led the Rainbow Coalition, which was an alliance between the young lords from the Latino community led by Jose Chacha Jimenez and a group of working-class white Southerners called the Young Patriots, led by William Fesperman. And all of these groups saw themselves as disenfranchised and discriminated against by the government system and the capitalistic society at the time. Not only that, but Fred also united rival black groups like the Crowns, and during the movie we could see how the FBI, through posters and drawings and false propaganda, were creating more divisions to turn these groups against each other and keep them fighting. And the FBI was so desperate to bring Hampton down that they falsely accused and convicted him of stealing $71 worth of ice cream bars and sentenced him to around 2 to 5 years in prison for it. I mean, for someone who has been working for years to establish justice for marginalized people, uniting different groups, races and influential people to fight for one cause, and establishing a free breakfast for children program even that would feed thousands of children on a daily basis, and putting his life on the line for his goals, and the best excuse for the establishment to smear him is ice cream? Like seriously, this only shows the level of desperation and audacity that the establishment had when it came to downgrading minority groups and enforcing a bogus sense of order that relied on marginalizing these groups. Fred Hampton testified himself that he never did it and that he wasn't even at the scene then, and he was quoted to have said, "I may be a pretty big mother, but I can't eat no 710 ice cream bars." Going back again to Lakeith's portrayal, which was very powerfully convincing as I mentioned earlier, especially in the last scene after he was given a drug and was asked to give that drug to Fred Hampton in order to facilitate the police raid later on and keep Hampton intoxicated. In that final encounter between him and Hampton, we could see how he was getting pulled by his emotions and struggles, as I mentioned earlier, towards the Black Panthers, and at the same time he was stranded by his need to free himself from the criminal life and the FBI's captivity, but eventually he ended up helping the FBI to do their dirty work. And the fact that he had already built a relationship and a strong bond with Hampton at the time, to the point that Hampton trusted him, and we could see like his face the emotional trauma that he was going through. Then comes the raid scene near the end of the movie, which was very gruesome. When the police raided the premises where Hampton, his group and his wife were staying, the police immediately started firing all over the place. But here's the interesting fact as well. There was a total of 100 bullets that were fired that night, and of all of those 100 bullets, 99 of those bullets were fired from the police, and only 1 bullet came from the Black Panthers. Then the police goes in to find Hampton drugged and unable to move, but was still alive after O'Neill gave him the drug and left the premises. In this scene we could see Deborah, Hampton's wife, as she heard the police saying Hampton was alive before they shot him twice at close range and declared him dead. This scene reminded me of the movie Malcolm X, which still remains my top favorite movie of all time. And it just shows over and over the same repetitive scenario of how the police and FBI were complicit in the assassination of these figures, and how they tried continuously to bring them down through methods of divide and conquer and inserting molds inside their organizations and their people. Finally, at the end of the movie, we see the real O'Neill in an interview from the documentary Eyes on the Prize 2 that we mentioned earlier, talking about what he did and how he felt. And then it is revealed that when the documentary was released in 1990, and because of O'Neill's sense of guilt and the fact that he could not live with what he did, on the same day of the release of the documentary, he committed suicide. So this story is just so powerful and magnificent on so many levels, because it speaks volumes of unity and charisma of one man and the inner battles and struggles of another. But the fact that it focused more on the informant's work and the emotional trauma that he was going through and the conflicts that he was experiencing at the time, that gave the movie a much stronger drive for the viewer, because it gave more of a character study into who was supposed to be the antagonist in the movie. So as much as you would disagree and maybe even hate him for what he did, at some point you feel like you would sympathize with him and the kind of conflicts that he was going through within himself, emotionally and physically. In addition to that, the movie gave a good insight and much valuable information into a character that wasn't very much known to the public at the time. I mean, Fred Hampton was a very powerful, influential figure, but not a lot of people knew about him, and not a lot of people knew about the details of what was going on inside the Black Panthers' work at the time. So this movie gave a good insight, a lot of information, and very much valuable take and the message at the end. And this will definitely be one of those movies that will remain memorable through the years and through generations later on.
Imagine what we could accomplish together.
Right on.
So this was my review for Judas and the Black Messiah, and my take on some of the important aspects that I felt they have made the movie stand out, from the acting, from the scenes, and from some of the important information that was included in the movie as well. So if you like this review and you wanted to discuss some of the information or some of the aspects that were mentioned in this video and you wanted to give your thoughts on it, please drop us a comment below. Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell icon so you can get updated with the latest reviews that I will upload on this channel. And follow us on the social media links that you will see in the description box below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.